The Nike Air Jordan 1 Game Royal Black toe is coming in about a week's time, and I'm saying it in that sort of stuttery way because I really don't know what this is called. And this is one of the problems with being here in Tokyo, Japan, is that, you know, as hard as I try to be connected to the international sneaker scene and to know what is going on, basically I get my information from sites like this right here, that's Sneaker Dunk, a site here in Japan, and you can see right there that it says that the upcoming release of the Nike Air Jordan 1 Game Royal Black is called Game Royal Black. That's what it says there, but I'm seeing in other places black toe. I've even seen bread toe because it represents that sort of red and black kind of blocking, but even though it's a blue and black blocking on there, but the similar blocking that you would see on a bread toe. So the name of this thing, I don't know what it is, but I do know that it's dropping here in Japan the same as it is elsewhere in the world. And finally I can bring you that video that talks about this because it represents an international and a domestic sneaker here in Tokyo, Japan, and that's one of the main points of my channel, is to be able to sort of cover both of those worlds. And with that in mind, let's dig deeper and have a close-up look today at the Nike Air Jordan 1 High Game Royal Black. This is the Tokyo About 23 Sneaker Channel, Tokyo About 23 Sneaker Channel days. My name is Absolutely my name is Mita Kudasai, and every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And this right here is not anything to do with the shoe that we're looking at today. This is the Pine Green, and I'm only showing this to you because it dropped here yesterday morning. I'm shooting this on Sunday night, and on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, there was a 10-minute window on the Sneakers app where you could have a shot at these guys again, because they had dropped earlier in the year, or was it earlier? Was it last year? Anyway, they had dropped before, you know, no warning, a quick strike sort of thing, just boom, here you go, 10 minutes, get in the draw for that. And I missed it by 5 minutes because I didn't know about it, and I wonder if it was the same in the rest of the world. So if you're out there in the rest of the world, did you get a shot at these guys, these Pine Green Blacks that dropped just, you know, 36 hours ago here in Tokyo, Japan? Don't know about the rest of the world, please let me know. But what is interesting is if you look at that, you know, Pine Green Black with that sort of green and black mainly colorway. I know there are other colors in there, especially that varsity red that they like to put in there on the tongue tabs, even though the rest of the sneaker doesn't have anything red in it, they still get that varsity red in the moniker, but that's predominantly a black and a green sneaker. But what we're looking at today, bang, is this upcoming release of the Game Royal Black, and you can see it's a very much black, white and blue sneaker, but it's not as blue and white as this. Bang, what that is there is the original Game Royals that dropped, at least I know they dropped in 2014, but I don't know if they dropped before that as well. So if you look closely at this here, the original Game Royals, and how much blue and white was on there with a little bit of black, and then we're going to flip that out in a couple of seconds once you've had a good look at this bad boy here on the green screen. In fact, I'll talk about the green screen for a couple of seconds. Just, I'm shooting this in the middle of the night. It's now 12:10 p.m. at night. We are in lockdown light in Tokyo, Japan, so I'm shooting from home these days in the middle of the night, trying to keep this daily content going, but it seems to be working out. But anyway, hopefully you've been able to have a good look at these original Game Royals, and you can flip that out, bang, now, and have a look at the upcoming release of the Game Royal Blacks, and you can see how much predominantly the black has come in there, and you've got an awful lot of black running through the sneaker, around the outside of the toe box, up on that quarter line, through the laces and into the back half of the sneaker. All of that was blue on the original guys, but what isn't the same as the original guys, what's a big change, is the original guys had white on their toe box, and here we have blue in there. And that's a big deal as far as Air Jordan 1s go, especially highs, is to have that toe box in those two colors, a black surround and then a color on the inside of that instead of white. So it's a big deal for any Jordan heads out there and for any sneaker heads out there, and it makes this a very desirable sneaker. So I guess quite a lot of people will be going out there and trying to get their hands on these guys. There are a few other details though that are kind of interesting to me, maybe interesting to you guys as well. One is if we look at the midfoot section on here, and in the midfoot you've got that white midfoot with the black swoosh on there, and what's interesting about that is the lack of change. Most of the rest of the sneaker is either a reverse from what the original Game Royals looked like, or it's an addition. If you take that toe box, for example, which was white and is now blue, so it's an addition to the color on there. But then if you go to this midfoot section with that midfoot panel, and then on top of that the swoosh, the panel in white and the swoosh in black, is not a change at all to the Game Royals. And hopefully behind me here I've been able to flip between the two so that you can see that difference, or that similarity I should say, specifically midfoot panel and the swoosh on the side. But then that's probably, you know, the main feature on the sneakers that is the same between the two iterations, the 2014s and the 2020s. Everywhere else seems to be pretty much changed. But what I'm going to walk you through is a couple of places of interest on the sneaker. And I think what I'll do is I'll start on the heel. So let's go back to the heel. One of my favorite things about a Nike Air Jordan 1, mid, high and low, I think, is the way that the swooshes come around to the back, and then you've got a little rectangle there that sort of holds them together. And usually that rectangle is in a different color to the color of the swoosh. For example, if the swoosh is white, often that rectangle in the back is black. And in the case of these guys here, you can see on the back there the way that those swooshes come around from the mid sort of section of the sneaker. The black swooshes come around from the mid section of the sneaker, and then they're tied together by that little rectangle there. What's interesting to me is actually this, and what you're looking at right now is a mid, and it's the Nike Hoops mid from earlier in this week or last week when I reviewed that video. But what was interesting about that was you can see the mismatched rectangular panel there where it ties the two swooshes together, one in purple, one in green, I think it was. And if we flip back to these Game Royale blacks, you can see that it's the same on both shoes. But that's just an interesting little detail. Coming around from that and not too far away on the lateral side is that classic Wings logo that you usually get on the side of Air Jordans. On the original Game Royals, it was one colour, but now as we go into these new ones, it was black originally, and now we're onto white. So that's a very obviously an opposite change on there, which makes a big difference, and it really pops out because it gives you that contrast between the underlying colour and then that white on top of it, giving you that really sort of contrasted and fine look on there. But then the last kind of place that I really want to look at is I want to get up onto the tongue, because most of the tongue and the area around the tongue is all to do with black, and it's a very dark kind of heavy sort of section of the sneaker. So they've gone with that white branding on the top of the tongue there to give that kind of point of opposition there. I'm glad they didn't go like back to those pine greens where they threw in that varsity red for no apparent reason. I'm glad they didn't go with that. I'm glad they've gone with what is true to the rest of the colorway of the sneaker, which is white, because you see white in other places on the sneaker. Specifically, one thing that hasn't changed between the two that has a link to that white, those Game Royals and these Game Royal blacks, is when you get down onto the midsole and the outsole, you can see that white midsole there, and underneath that really strong popping blue outsole beneath. And that was the same on both sneakers. So you've got some areas that are similar or the same, especially the midfoot area, and then down on the outsole and the midsole. And then you've got some areas that are just a flip out, where you've gone from blue to black or black to blue. But then you've got that addition, especially in that toe box, and that's really the signature feature of these guys, is that blue toe box with the black surround on there, which gives it its major character. Drawing back, looking at the whole sneaker, it's a fine looking shoe. Now down below in the description, I leave it, it's a default, an upload default for my videos. There's always a video down there called Why I Had Never Owned a Pair of Jordan Sneakers. I have since making that video, which was, oh gosh, maybe a year ago now. Since making that video, more than a year ago, I've acquired some Jordan sneakers, and there's a reason why I've never owned Jordan sneakers, and I hopefully you guys get a chance to check that out, because one of the things I've never done is I've never owned a Jordan 1, and it's part of the channel, it's part of the kind of vibe of what I'm going for, is that journey into Jordan, because I'm European, and I'm of an era where Air Max and Adidas were stronger than Jordan in Europe. So it's a chance for me, if you like, to grow myself and my knowledge of sneakers, especially through the Jordan brand, which I have been doing if you've been watching the videos over the last 18 months that I've had this channel. So do check out that Why I Had Never Owned a Pair of Jordan sneakers, and then maybe from that you'll understand why I say I might give these guys a pass, not because I don't like them, just because I want my first Air Jordan 1 High to be an iconic sneaker. I want it really to be something that I go after. My very first pair of Jordans were Bred 4s, my second pair were the Fire Red 3s, which I absolutely love, and I don't want to just grab any Jordan 1 that comes on the market. I want it to be something special. So for me, I'm going to pass these guys up. I would have passed up these pine greens this morning as well, yesterday morning I should say, but it was just kind of interesting that they dropped in such a way, and maybe that's the thing with this, coronavirus and lockdowns. They're going to try and sort of lure us into online shopping a bit more, so we'll see some more quick strikes or stuff like that coming down the line. But for now, this is what's coming up. It's going to be on sale here in Tokyo, Japan, as much as the rest of the world in about a week's time, so something for people to look forward to. But for now, it's time for me to sign off, and thank you guys for checking out my content. But because I do this every single day, that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.